Okay, so there's this viral video making the rounds, and it's dropping some absolutely explosive claims about a political firestorm brewing in Ukraine. Some are even saying it could potentially take down the government. So what's really going on here? We're going to break down exactly what this source is claiming, piece by piece.
And right off the bat, the video we're looking at makes a really crucial point. This quote, they say it isn't from some random blog or a Russian propaganda site. Nope, it's from The Spectator, one of Britain's oldest magazines. And according to the source, that's precisely why this story has suddenly caught fire and gained so much traction.
So, how did all this start? Well, according to the video, this wasn't a slow run, not at all. It was more like a political bomb went off, a massive storm that seemed to hit Kyiv almost overnight.
The source then lays out this incredibly dramatic 48-hour timeline. It starts with President Zelensky looking defiant and confident on the world stage. But then, boom, less than 24 hours later, the whole narrative apparently flips on its head. Suddenly, his palace is being raided by anti-corruption agents, and a key billionaire from his inner circle just vanishes. The video really frames this as a lightning-fast collapse, going from total confidence to a full-blown crisis in no time at all.
Okay, so that brings us to the core of it all, the actual corruption claims. And, the source video lists some stuff that investigators supposedly found during these raids, and it's pretty wild. Almost hard to believe, really.
I mean, just listen to this list. The video talks about a solid gold toilet, cupboards literally overflowing with 200 euro notes, bags and bags of cash. It honestly sounds like something straight out of a movie. And the point the source is making with these details is pretty clear, to paint a picture of just massive, out-of-control greed at the very top.
And it's not just about luxury items. The video puts a massive number on the table, $100 million. That's the alleged price tag on a so-called fortification scam. And what's really striking is that the source connects this directly to Energoatom, Ukraine's state nuclear operator. I mean, we're talking about corruption that might have reached the most critical parts of the country's infrastructure.
So this isn't just about money and contracts. It's about people. The video quickly shifts focus to the who, the key players it claims are right in the middle of this whole alleged mess. And the name that comes up first is Timur Mindich. The video is careful to point out he isn't just some business associate. He's described as a close, longtime friend and business partner of the president. They even call him the alleged bagman, the guy handling the cash. And the really critical part, he supposedly fled the country right before the raids, which heavily implies, that someone on the inside gave him a heads up. But it's not just about Mindy Seich. The video then starts naming others, a suspended justice minister, presidential advisors, even old TV colleagues and childhood friends who supposedly landed huge government contracts. The argument the source makes is that this isn't a one-off thing, but a whole pattern of cronyism. And then, the source drops what it presents as the absolute bombshell. The claim that the Anti-Corruption Bureau, NABU, has, get this, over 1,000 hours of secret recordings, and some of those tapes supposedly have the president himself on them, speaking in code. Wow. The video presents this as way more than just an investigation. It's a message, a direct threat to the palace, basically saying, we've got you on tape.
So, all of this leads to what the video argues is the real story here. It's not just about corruption. This whole thing is being framed as something much bigger. A massive power struggle happening right inside the Ukrainian government.
And the video draws the battle lines really clearly. On one side, you have the anti-corruption agencies, NABU and SAPO, which the source says are Western-funded and trained. And on the other side, the SBU, the domestic security agency, which is portrayed as being fiercely loyal to President Zelensky. The source basically frames it as a clash between two huge forces, one they call the empire and the other the throne.
And to show just how high the stakes are, the video pulls out a really powerful comparison from Ukraine's recent past. It connects all of this to the 2014 Maidan revolution, which, as you might remember, is when the previous president, Viktor Yanukovych, was kicked out, also because of huge corruption scandals.
And this is where that golden toilet comes back in, because the symbolism is, well, it's incredibly powerful. The video reminds everyone that a golden toilet found in Yanukovych's palace became the symbol of his corrupt regime around the world. It was the thing that represented everything people were trying to overthrow. So the video just lays it out there with a really sharp question. You've got a different president, a different billionaire, but another alleged golden toilet. Is this just the same story playing out all over again? It's a question that's clearly designed to make you think there's a deep, recurring problem in Ukrainian politics. And of course, this kind of thing doesn't happen in a vacuum.
It has huge international ripple effects. The source argues that this whole scandal is creating a massive problem, a real headache for Ukraine's backers in the West.
Think about it. For years, the story we've heard from Western leaders is that President Zelensky was the guy. He was the reformer, the anti-corruption champion who was cleaning up Ukraine. Well, the video basically argues that this entire narrative, this carefully built image, is now falling apart.
And the source's verdict on the whole situation is pretty brutal. It brings up a quote from a Ukrainian politician who once described the country as a disenfranchised colony. The video then suggests that today, Ukraine is being pulled apart by the very same forces that claim to be helping it, a mix of Western interests and its own internal power games.
So you can see the incredibly tricky position the West is in now, at least according to this source. It's like they're walking a tightrope. In one breath, they're wagging a finger and warning about corruption, but in the very next breath, they're saying, don't worry, the military aid is still coming. The video's take on this is simple. The war is more important than any one leader, and the support will continue no matter who's in charge.
And that's where the video leaves us, with two huge lingering questions. Is this the start of the end for Zelensky? And if it is, who's waiting in the wings to replace him? When, as the source puts it, the empire needs a new hero. It leaves the whole future of Ukraine's leadership completely up in the air.